I'm R.J. Kelly. I'm founder and chief visionary officer for Wealth Legacy Group and the Wealth Legacy family of companies here in San Diego. I'm going to ditch this microphone in a minute, but immediately I just want to get everybody's attention. We've got just an extraordinary amount of great content with some great speakers, but where it starts is we live in a great community. I mean, how many people, we've had the pleasure of being around the world. I'm married to an international as well. How many have a feeling that San Diego is probably the finest, most wonderful city in America? Anybody want? Okay. We have amazing leaders here, and it doesn't matter what age they are coming out or what culture they're from, Filipino, but anyway, they're just amazing leaders that I have been privileged to be able to support. How many people have ever worked on a campaign where you've been on a phone bank or you've walked a district? Put those hands up. I want to see it. For those of you who didn't raise your hands, I want to encourage you this election cycle to do something. The first time I did a phone bank, it was really interesting, just kind of for the heck of it. The first time I did it, walked a precinct. I'd never done that before. But you get a chance to really meet some people there at their homes, and it's an amazing experience. But I kept hearing about this name, Cate, and of course, City Council member Cate, and I was so impressed with the work that Chris has done. For example, one of the issues with Craigslist. You want to buy something from Craigslist? Well, it's kind of scary now, potentially. You could get robbed if you brought. So what does Chris do? He works with the police department. If you are, let's say, buying or selling a car, they now have spaces at some of the police stations where you can go, have that person bring the car that you're looking at or that you're selling, and right there in front of the police department, you can do the transaction. Just innovative things like that. How cool is that? So I've asked Chris to come and be with us just to share a little bit about what's going on down in San Diego and how we can be involved in our city. Because we can't rely on our political leaders. That's great. They can be the tip of the spear, but it starts with us. We have to get involved. So Chris, thank you for coming.
Thank you, RJ.
And by the way, Chris's little baby girl, honey, was it be 1 year old already?
We'll be in 2 weeks, end of July.
My wife follows her on Facebook.
Exactly. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and good to be back, RJ. So thank you for inviting me to come speak and give an update of what's going on at the city, some of the things we're working on, and again, some examples of how you can get involved in your individual communities. So I wanted to kind of give first an update on where we're at as a city for this upcoming year. This is an interesting time right now. July 1st, we just started our brand new fiscal year. And it was a somewhat difficult budget year to reconcile some of the priorities we have as a city because we had to deal with a $72 million budget deficit for this current year that we are in. And so that meant prioritizing. And one of the big things that I let the mayor know and my colleagues on the city council know that if they were going to be proposing any type of cuts to public safety or libraries or parks, all the things that we spent a number of years getting past the recession and doing brownouts for fire stations and cutting back on library hours, I was not going to have that. We need to look at elsewhere because from my standpoint, those are the core services that we provide as a city and should not be cutting those core services. Those other nice to haves that we often fund as a city, and we weren't going to, I was not going to entertain any cuts to those core city services. And luckily, we were able to maintain all those investments that we had made over the past decade or so. We're still investing in our infrastructure. We have the largest capital program in the city's history underway. We're going to be paving more than 430 miles of streets in this upcoming year, so that's a good thing. Wow. Still a lot more to do. I still drive on those streets. I know you still drive on those streets. There's still a lot to do, but we are making headways. One of the big things we talked about, though, in my office and the big priority for me is public safety. We are funding more academies for firefighters. We're opening 3 new fire stations in the next couple years, and we are investing in hiring more officers. One of the things we're also doing is hiring more, firefighters. We're hiring more firefighters to reduce the amount of overtime that our firefighters go under. It's very stressing and taxing on them to continue to have overtime. So we're actually going to be hiring 37 new firefighters to have this, what's called a relief pool, so that we don't have to rely on the overtime for our firefighters, which is a good thing. But the biggest crisis that we have and we have had for the last few years is with our police officers and recruitment and retention. We are right now about 228 officers short of where we want to be with our goal. Our goal is to have about 2,100 officers. Right now, we fluctuate between 850 to 1,900 officers at any given time. And a lot of these officers are eligible to retire over the next 5 years, and so we have this gap. But we have been making strategic investments to do the recruitment, to do the marketing that we need to do, to give those salary increases, to make sure officers are paid what they are deserving of for the work that they do every single day. But it all, for me, on this issue and kind of what's taxing on the city right now, starts with housing. Housing is the #1 issue. It's actually 1, 2, and 3 issues, both here in San Diego and up and down the state. I had the pleasure of serving on a board of what's called the League of California Cities. It's all 482 cities in the state of California. I was serving on a board of about 50, and housing was the #1 issue by far over the last 3 years. As a city, between now and 2028, our goal is to produce somewhere about 280,000 new units in the city of San Diego to maintain housing affordability in San Diego. In 2018, we built less than 10,000. So we have a long, long way to go. And how does this impact public safety? Because there is a tie. Right now in the city of San Diego, less than 30% of our police officers live in the city of San Diego. They drive as far away as Hamul, Hemet, Marietta, do their 12-hour shifts, and then have to drive home. For us, as a recruitment and retention issue, that is not a good place to be in, because those officers that drive in from Marietta because the cost of housing is affordable are going to get to a point where we said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to be an officer in Marietta or Riverside County Sheriffs or whatever else. I'm not going to continue to drive here, which means that then we do not have those officers on the streets to do the neighborhood policing that we want them to do. So a solution to that, and what we have been working with some of our friends in the private sector, is to develop a down payment assistance program. So this year, the city, we advocated to allocate $250,000 as a public-private partnership to assist police officers to buy a home in the city of San Diego. We are leveraging that $250,000 from the city, and right now I have 2 commitments from 2 financial institutions for $250,000 apiece to have $750,000 in a down payment assistance program for officers. So they will get 10% of the 20% down payment granted to them if they are a police officer for 5 years and buy a home in the city of San Diego. In addition, we have worked with a financial institution to get them a crazy rate, 3.14% fixed for 30 years, plus $7,000 in closing costs covered as well too. So we are going to be launching this program in the next few weeks. We're just buttoning up some legal stuff with the city right now. But right now we are getting a lot of good feedback from our officers who want to buy homes in the city of San Diego and live on the streets that they're actually patrolling. So be on the lookout for news on that. A second issue that we are working on has to do with human trafficking. The district I represent, Mira Mesa, Convoy, Kearny Mesa area, you may be coming home from getting ramen on Convoy, it's late at night, and you see a neon sign for 24-hour massage parlors on the second story of a complex on a strip mall. I don't think anybody's really going to get massages, at 1 o'clock in the morning, but we're trying to address that. And what we're looking at doing is making sure that massage parlors, legitimate massage parlors, go through a permit process with the police department. Right now, there's a loophole in the state that says that if you self-certify that your massage therapists are certified with the state, you don't have to go through the police department for a permit. There is nobody who's verifying that at the city of San Diego right now. And when human trafficking is the second largest underground economy in our region at $1 billion a year, we need to be doing a better job of that. So what are we doing is we're trying to close that loophole that says that if you are a massage parlor, you go through the police department for a permit. In the process, we're actually reducing your fee of what you pay to go through this. In addition, if there are any verified complaints of prostitution, trafficking, labor trafficking, you name it, we are going to revoke your permit, because right now there's no means to do that. In addition, we are going to shut down that actual location from having another massage parlor for a period of 2 years. Because what typically happens is, if we are fortunate to shut down a massage parlor, one pops up with a new name in the next following month or so. And we're trying to break that cycle, and we're proposing this ordinance that will be going to our Public Safety Committee in September. We have support from everybody. No one opposes this, because this is something that we have to an issue we have to deal with, whether you're the district attorney's office, the police department, the sheriff's department. These are critical issues for our neighborhoods and individuals who live in San Diego. So that's another thing that we are working on. The last thing I want to talk about is what RJ mentioned, which is what we called the DOTS program, Designated Online Transaction Spaces. We did this as a pilot project in the Northeastern Division Police Station, which is in Rancho Penasquitos, which is essentially what RJ said, is that if you ever want to go on Nextdoor or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and you want to purchase something and you don't really feel comfortable having that person come to your home or going to their home, you can say, hey, there are designated parking spaces in this police station. Come by here and we'll do our transaction there. If they don't want to do a transaction at a police station, they're probably not in the business of doing a verified transaction. So we did this pilot project. We're now rolling this out to every police station in San Diego. I think we have the last one is hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So wherever you live, if you live in kind of this area, the UTC area, Northern Division, which is just down the street here, they'll have a space. If it's Southeastern or City Heights, they'll all have these spaces there. That way you have a spot to do your business. The last thing I want to cover that I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have is how to get involved. For me, as a council member that represents a very, very big district, I don't know what happens in every single neighborhood. I live in Mira Mesa with my wife and my daughter. I don't know what happens in Claremont every day. I don't know what happens in Rancho Penasquitos every day, or Kearny Mesa, or Convoy. I have to rely on my residents to inform me of what's happening. Where do you want a stop sign? Where do you want your street repaved? Where do you want a sidewalk? If you don't contact your elected official, they won't know about it. So don't be hesitant to be involved and to be engaged, and call them and let them know what's going on. Serve on your town council. If you live in the city of San Diego, I guarantee you have a town council in your neighborhood. Serve on a planning group. Planning groups are an advisory group to the city of San Diego that talk about and give recommendations on a number of different issues or development projects that are going on in your neighborhood. We need folks to be engaged on that and let us know what's happening every single day. We have boards and commissions at the city if you like parks, if you like arts and culture, if you like tourism, if you like working with investments. All these things are commissions at the city that we have, and we always need individuals to serve. So don't hesitate to, again, contact your council member if you want to serve on a board or commission as well too. And then with the 2020 cycle coming up, we have some amazing, amazing candidates. June is one. Noe Zoso is another who just came in, who's running for city council as well. These are folks who have private sector experience. They have a business acumen, and that is what we need in elected office. So don't hesitate to take a couple hours on a Saturday to either walk some neighborhoods for the candidate you're choosing, or make a couple of phone calls. I guarantee you that voters like talking to people who support candidates as opposed to the candidates themselves, because they want to have that verification process of, okay, this person is a real good person. We want this person to be in office. So don't hesitate to do that as well too. Thank you very much.